Hallelujah. Yeah, you're good. All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's a wonderful thing to come together and draw nigh unto the Most High, seeking His face, desiring a closer walk with Him, desiring that He would draw nigh unto us. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let us make our declarations. We declare that we are your people as according as it is written in the scripture. We declare that where our ancestors failed to be obedient to you, we will live by every word that proceeds out of your mouth, Abba Yahuwah. We declare that Hamashiach Yahusha has brought us with a blood-bought price. It is a debt that we can never repay. We declare that we live, breathe, and have our being in you, Yahuwah. We declare that it is our desire to keep your commandments and guard your precepts. We declare that we will hold to the testimony of Hamashiach Yahusha. We declare that we are your people and your Ruach HaKodesh resides in us. We declare that we will love our brothers and sisters. We declare that we will esteem you above all things, Abba Yahuwah. We declare that we desire to meet with you at the appointed time, Abba Yahuwah, on Yom Shabbat. We declare that you have given us power over all the power of the enemy. We declare that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Let us praise Him. Hallelujah. You are awesome, Abba Yahuwah. Awesome.
Todah. Hallelujah.
You are worthy of all of our praise, thanksgiving,
Hallelujah.
worship, and adoration. There is none like unto you, Abba Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
The Shamayim, Hashamayim declares your esteem. Haaretz, your handiwork.
Hallelujah.
You are the potter, Yahuwah. We are the clay. Mold us and shape us into the people that you would have us to be.
Hallelujah.
Take us through the refiner's fire, Abba Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
That anything that's not like you would be purged from us. We desire to walk before you in a circumspect way. We desire to be obedient
Hallelujah.
to your every command, Yahuwah. We praise you. We lift up your name and magnify your name, Yahuwah. We exalt your name, Yahuwah. There is none like unto you. Your judgments are righteous and true, Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. You are worthy, you are worthy, you are worthy of all of our praise.
Hallelujah.
And your Yahid, Yahusha, is worthy to break the seals and open the books. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
He was the walking embodiment of the Torah, the example to us of how to live out the law. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Let us make our petitions known. Yahuwah, we desire that you would continue to lead us and guide us in your paths of righteousness on today. We desire that you would teach us of your ways, that as we draw nigh to you, you would draw nigh unto us. That you would continue to reveal yourself through the Torah, through the writings of the prophets, through the Tehillim and through the Brit Hadashah, and even the extra books that were set aside for the wise amongst the people. We pray that you would continue to reveal our culture to us. We pray that you would continue to reveal the ancient paths. We're told in Scripture to seek the ancient paths. You said in the land of our captivity, we would think on your name.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Barak Hashem Yahuwah. Hallelujah.
And your prophecy has come to pass, Yahuwah. In this land of our captivity, we've thought on your name. We have accepted the sins of our ancestors and they walk contrary to you. And that as a result, you walk contrary to them.
Hallelujah.
And because of that, we had a punishment that was meted out to us. Your judgments and right rulings were correct, Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
So now we understand that the time is past that we're to be in bondage in this nation. And we're looking for you to turn your face back towards us, Yahuwah. We say Todah Rabbah for the favor that has rested on this community. We say Todah Rabbah for those who have saw fit to support us here on the mountain. We say Todah Rabbah for all that you have done, Yahuwah. Todah Rabbah for all that you're doing even now. Todah Rabbah for all that you will do in our lives, in the life of your Hekal, and in the lives of all Yisrael, wherever they are scattered. We pray that anyone under the sound of my voice today that needs healing, that you would touch, heal, renew, restore, make whole, speak life, Yahuwah. We ask that your Ruach HaKodesh would move freely amongst your people today, Yahuwah. Those who desire to be obedient to you. Those who desire to guard your precepts and keep your commandments. Those who desire to hold true to the testimony of Hamashiach Yahusha. We ask that you would gird them up today, Yahuwah, in a mighty way, that they would begin to operate in your power and in your might, Abba Yahuwah. That unity would come full circle in our nation. We've been divided by the enemy, but draw the bone back together to his bone, the sinew to his sinew, and the flesh to his flesh, Abba Yahuwah. Have your way amongst your people even today. Let your Ruach HaKodesh knit like hearts together. That communities would be formed and that nation would be formed from communities. Hallelujah. All across the world. We ask that you would continue to wake those who are sleeping. Your sheep hear your voice, and another will they not follow. Hallelujah. We ask that you would continue to wake both houses up, and that you would continue to do mighty things, that we might be your witnesses in these last and wicked days to the ends of the earth. That we might be the preachers and the teachers of righteousness, worthy to be a part of your remnant, Yahuwah. Let the meditations of our hearts and the words of our mouths be acceptable in thy sight, Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
You are our shield, our buckler, our strong tower, Yahuwah. Scripture says that the righteous run in and are saved.
Hallelujah.
And if the righteous are scarcely saved, where do sinners go? We desire to be that remnant, Abba Yahuwah. We understand that you have said that obedience is better than sacrifice. That you didn't desire the blood of bulls and goats. But you would rather we had just been obedient from the beginning. So we ask that you would teach us today from your word. Teach us your ways. as we draw nigh unto you.
Time.
Lead us and guide us. Teach us in your ways. Let he who desires to know the ways of Yahuwah draw near. Let
Time.
he who has a repentant heart draw near. Anyone under the sound of my voice, if you're unsure, if you're sitting on the fence, get off that fence.
Time.
You need to be on fire for Yahuwah.
Time.
His
Hallelujah.
Mashiach.
Hallelujah.
He said that if you are lukewarm, he will spit you out of his
Time.
mouth.
Time. Help
So
us
we
to be
desire
on
that,
fire.
that we would
Hallelujah.
all be on fire for you today.
Time.
That we would all prophesy, that we would all begin to use the gifts that you have given us, Abba Yahuwah. That we would all draw together as a nation, not desire. Assemble ourselves. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We ask all these things in Hashem Yahusha, giving thanks in advance for answer to prayer, because we've not turned our ear away from your Torah
Hallelujah.
or our foot away from your righteous paths.
Hallelujah.
Help us, Abba
Help
Yahuwah.
us out.
We need you even now more than ever.
Time out.
Walk with us. Talk with us.
Time.
Reveal yourself to us on a daily basis,
We
Abba
desire
Yahuwah.
you, Father.
We can do
Hallelujah.
nothing apart from you, Yahuwah.
Time. Hallelujah.
We desire you to be the biggest part of our lives. We live,
Hallelujah.
breathe, and have our being in you, Yahuwah.
Time. Yahuwah.
And there is none other. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes, so.
And it is so.
Yes.
Kalia, would you please come on and
Hallelujah.
Salt Community Unplugged today. Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Wherever you are scattered,
Hallelujah.
we are having you.
Hallelujah. Rak Hashem Yahuwah. Our Lord. Hallelujah. Devarim 6. Deuteronomy 6. Hear, O Yasharah, Yahuwah, our Elohim. Yahuwah is a high.
Hallelujah.
And you shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your might. And these words, which I am commanding you today, shall be in your heart. And you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house,
Hallelujah.
and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And shall bind them as a sign on your hand.
Hallelujah.
And they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. While you're up.
Tehillim 17. Psalms 17. Hear righteousness, Yahuwah. Listen to my cry. Give ear to my prayer. from lips without deceit. Let my right ruling go out from your presence. Let your eyes see what is straight. You have examined my heart. You have visited me in the night. You have tried me. You find I have not schemed.
Hallelujah.
My mouth would not transgress. As for the deeds of men, by the words of your lips, I have kept myself from the paths of the destroyer. My steps have held fast to your path. My feet have not slipped. I have called upon you, for you answer me, O Elohim. Incline your ear to me. Hear my speech. Let your loving commitment be distinguished. You who save by your right hand, those who take refuge from those who rise up. Guard me as the apple of your eye. Hide me under the shadow of your wings. From the face of the wrong who ravage me. From my deadly enemies who surround me. They are enclosed in their own fat. They speak proudly with their mouths. They have now surrounded us in our steps. They set their eyes to cast us to the ground. Like a lion who is eager to tear his prey, and as a young lion crouching in cover. Arise, O Yahuwah, confront him, cause him to bend. Deliver my being from the wrong by your sword. From men by your hand, O Yahuwah. From men of the world whose portion is in this life. And you fill their bellies with your treasure. They are satisfied with children. And shall leave their riches to their babes. As for me, let me see your face in righteousness, satisfied to see your appearance when I awake. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Scripture says that the Most High Yahuwah inhabits praises of his people. So when you begin to praise him, it draws his presence into your worship. When you begin to praise him, he inhabits praises of his people. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Every time I hear that, every time I say that, it resounds in my ruach within me because it's special. We have a special relationship with the Creator, and we are considered special to him. The apple of his eye. Yisrael.
Hallelujah.
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 We want to worship you in the beauty of holiness, because you are Todah. I want to worship you in spirit and in truth. Yeah. I want to worship you in the beauty of holiness, because you are the best. I want to worship you in spirit and in from the rising of the sun, from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same. Praise your name. From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same. Praise your name. We want to praise you in the beauty of holiness, because you are Todah. We want to praise you morning, noon, and night. Morning, noon, and night. We want to praise you in the beauty of holiness, because you are Todah. We want to praise you in spirit and truth. In spirit and in truth. From the rising of the sun, from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same. Praise your name. Yahuwah, From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, we'll praise your name. Yahuwah, we want to worship you in the beauty of holiness, because you are Todah. We want to worship you in the spirit and in truth. Spirit and truth. We want to worship you in the beauty of holiness, because you are Todah. We want to worship you in spirit and in the rising of the sun. From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, praise your name. Yahuwah. From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, praise your name. Yahuwah. Let's give him a hand clap.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
He is worthy.
Hallelujah.
There is none like him. There is none like him, Israel. Our Lord is righteous. He is Kodesh. 24 elders around the throne saying, Kodesh, 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 Kodesh. And the 4 living creatures, Kodesh, Kodesh. He is Kodesh. And there is none like unto Yahuwah.
Hallelujah.
We lift you up, Yahuwah, magnify your name, Yahuwah, exalt your name, because you are our power, our mighty one. Hallelujah. There is none like unto you. Let us prepare our hearts to receive a word from his Torah, from the writing of the prophets, from the Tehillim, and from the Brit Hadashah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Once again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Go prophesy. Go prophesy. Amos, the 11th chapter. Amos, the 7th chapter. All of us have been given callings in our lives and gifts, abilities, and things to do. And as the Most High has called us to go about and to do those things, he's given us the abilities, or he's given us, or he's paved the way for us to be able to accomplish these things. Amos was called to go and to prophesy to the nation, to the northern kingdom, prior to their captivity. And where do we find what his occupation was, or who he was prior to his call? That's a question. Chapter 1. You can always go to the beginning of the book and find where he was. Let's read who he was prior to his call. Chapter 1, start at the first verse.
The words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa.
A word says of Amos, who was among the herdsmen of Tekoa. He was a herdsman. He was somebody going out. He didn't have any status, any big name. And sometimes we think in order to be useful, we have to have a name. We have to have some type of a title. We have to have a specific schooling to qualify who we are. He said he was a herdsman, just a simple herdsman, somebody out there tending to wildlife, uh, cows and sheep and goats. Continue.
which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Yehuda, in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake.
So he was called a herdsman to go and to prophesy, to give a word. You know, often out of nowhere, a prophet can arise. Out of nowhere, the Most High can choose an individual to accomplish a specific thing. You know, one of the things that we will learn as we study Scripture and as we grow in our understanding that the Most High equips all of us to be able to do what He's called us to do. You know, growing up, I was, you couldn't even get me to do an Easter speech in church because I hated getting up in front of people, and not knowing that by the time I was in my 20s, Most High would call me to teach, call me into the ministry. And I had to learn how to accomplish, I had to learn to trust in Him for something I never even desired to do. And Amos was the same way. He didn't come from a line of prophets. He was a herdsman. He wasn't going, into the city and standing at the gate, shouting and preaching and teaching. But he was a herdsman, just out there alone, doing this thing from a day to day. And as we are moving along in this walk, the Most High calls us to do specific things. And I do want to give a bit of testimony as to what the Most High has accomplished here at Salt. Those that have been following us, those that understand where what it is that we're doing and what the Most High has called us to do. We came out of Michigan and looking for land because the Most High put a vision in our hearts that we would establish some land, that we would go out and we would get land for as many as He will send. And we say as many as He will send because He is going to begin to orchestrate a body of believers to a place where we can all be on one accord and we can all be living salt. SALT being an acronym of Set Apart, Living Torah. That is the heart, that is the vision of which He gave. And so we knew that if it's as many as He will send, we had to have a number. And so we began to seek out a number of what that would be as to the acreage that we would need in order to satisfy what we believe the Most High was going to send or do. And so we figured we probably would need no less than 30 acres. And we ran into a lot of issues with that because we're not rich. Most High did not call, a handful of people that had a lot of money, a lot of wealth to be able to do something. I mean, I didn't have $1 million sitting in the bank. I didn't even have $10,000 sitting in the bank, let alone $1 million. But yet He said, go out and get and establish some land. So we prayed and sought the Most High for what it is that He, how He would make this come to pass, how we would be able to accomplish what He would be doing. Running into issues, not being able to find the type of land and with the water and everything that we believe we needed for the land. And he eventually worked out where we could get 9 acres in Tennessee with the promise of an additional 30 acres that would surround that land. When we were able to do that and to secure that, that was that place. We found we were able to begin the process of accomplishing all that the Most High desired for us to accomplish. But we had a year to get the 30 acres, the remaining 30 acres. And not having monies to be able to save up, not having a bank account with the money sitting in it, waiting for us to be able to put a down payment, we had to trust in the Most High. We had to trust in what He was going to be able to do. And so we just started praying, started waiting, started trusting that the Most High would answer prayer. And happy to say that after 14 or 13 months of being here in Tennessee, the Most High has made a way for us to be able to acquire the entire almost 40 acres of land to begin to establish a place where the Most High can start building a community of those that are like-minded, that those that desire to live a set-apart life, to live according to Todah. Now, it is important to understand that as we progress in this awakening and progress in this coming into this truth, that there's a lot we have to learn, a lot that we have to let go of from this captivity in which we're in. We all need to be broken, all need to learn, and all need to grow. And SALT is a place that we found that we've all been damaged. You know, anytime we come together to live in community, we no longer have the ability to control every aspect of our environment because we have many people with different characteristics, personalities, different levels of wit damage that they've experienced in this land of our captivity. And because of that, there's a lot of adversity, stress, things that we have to work out together. But if we do it according to the scripture, we do it with a spirit of love and forgiveness, then we can overcome many of the hurdles that come in our way. And so for those that are looking for community, those that are looking to be part of community, understand that there's going to be a breaking process. There's going to be a process where you've got to unlearn some of the things that have caused our people some of the damage. Most of us men, we've not grown up with our fathers teaching us and guiding us how to be fathers and leaders and good husbands. But the Most High, being a good father, He is going to teach us. He is going to guide us. He will begin that process as we learn how to lead, how to be good fathers, how to come together and to work together and not be separate, but one people in a cloud with one another. Amos had to learn similar things. Coming as a herdman, he had to overcome his own fears as he's dealing with people, and we're not an easy people to deal with. We are stiff-necked people, and that's one of the things we'll find out when we come together to try to accomplish anything, that we're stiff-necked. We're hard people to get to turn in a direction and to work together. But the Most High understands who we are and understands the areas that we struggle in and puts those people in place that can help us overcome these things. And Amos had to learn, Amos had to grow, Amos had to have the faith and the confidence in the Most High to do what He called him to do. And so here in the 7th chapter, we're going to see that challenge. We're going to see Amos having to deal with those that are around it that don't necessarily agree with the message that the Most High desires to speak through him. And understand, when the Most High sets us out someplace and gives us a task, it's important for us to get out of the way of that prophet, get out of the way of that individual that has been called. And a good analogy would be, a natural father that sends out his son to go give instructions to the rest of his children. Dad said, go accomplish this. Dad said, don't go do this. Don't do that. Now, if he goes out there doing what his father asked him to do, and one of the other children decide, you know what, I don't want to accept your message. Now, the son that was going out doing it may not be a problem with him. I'm just doing what dad told me to do. But when word gets back to dad that, you know what, brother didn't listen. Brother made fun of me. Brother mocked me as I went out to try to do what you asked. Any father with any children is not going to take that lightly. It's not going to be just something, well, I'm just going to continue to sit here. That father gave a body of instruction to give to his family, and his family would not listen to the son that went out to give that instruction. That doesn't sit well with any father, because when a father speaks and gives his son some direction to give to the rest of the family, it must be heeded as if the father said it himself. As if the father said it himself. So let's go to chapter 7 and look at what this prophet, or what Amos, the herdsman, had to say to Israel. Starting the first verse.
Are you reading? This is what the Master Yahuwah showed me. And see, he is forming locust swarms at the beginning of a late crop. And see, it was the late crop after the mowing of the south.
So who showed him something?
Okay.
The Most High, Yahuwah showed him. It's not he himself. He didn't decide, this is what I perceive, or this is what I think. This is what I believe, because I've looked into the almanac, and during this time of the year, the locusts are starting to, the eggs are starting to hatch, and every 7 years or 8 years, they swarm. And so I'm giving y'all a message based off of my understanding of nature. No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said, this is what the Master Yahuwah showed me. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to let you know that this is not coming from me. As I start to give you what is being shown to me, I'm going to let you know and qualify why I stand before you. This is what the Master Yahuwah showed me. Mm-hmm. And what he was showing them was that there was going to be masses of locusts hatching and coming into their own as the season went on, to bring about a swarm of locusts. Continue.
And it came to be, when they had finished eating the grass of the land, that he said, O Master Yahuwah, forgive, I pray. How does Yaakov survive, for he is small?
So he's showing us something in advance. So this is not something that's going on right now, but he's showing us something that is in the working. And so what is going to happen is that these locusts was going to come, and they were going to eat up all the grass and all of the wheat, all of the things that were the crop, the late crop that was growing. And Amos, understanding and having a love for his people, went into supplication for his own people. And who have we seen do this before? Moshe. That's right. You see, Moshe went into supplication for his people when he saw that the Most High was displeased with them, and even wanted to destroy them and start another nation over with just Moshe. Moshe fell to his face and went into supplication for the people. And Amos had the same heart. He had a great love for the people and understood that, yes, I can see, and the Most High showing them that the sins that they're involved in, and showing them the sins that they're doing, and understands that the Most High is displeased with them. But he has been given a foresight, been shown what the Most High is planning, is what the Most High is getting ready to do to a disobedient people. And in response, he prays and says, we're a small people. And if you allow this to happen, we're not, how can we survive this? How can we make it through this? We're not strong enough as a people to be able to make it through. Continue.
Yahuwah relented concerning this. It shall not be, said Yahuwah.
So he says, I'm not going to do it. Because you came and in supplication, in prayer, for the people's sake, for the sake of the people, I will not do it. So I will relent from it. I will back away from what I'm showing you and not bring this upon.
So what are we seeing here?
Mm-hmm.
Grace and mercy.
Grace and mercy. Often we hear that, don't we? That we live in a time of grace and that we don't live under the law anymore. But we've always had grace. We've always had mercy. Most High has always shown that. That's part of his character, to give grace and have mercy upon us. And so this is not some, to say that we've come into a new phase or a new understanding or a new concept that somehow the Most High is going to give us favor. Oh no, he's always done that. He's always said, you know what, I have a heart of mercy, of forgiveness over these stiff-necked and hard-headed people. And so he said, and so he shows here mercy. He shows here grace. And I'll relent from this situation, this thing that I'm showing.
Can I make a comment? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking, when we were talking at the beginning, when the master showed him what was about to happen or what could happen to the crop and so forth, it looked like Amos said, forgive me. His first thing was to repent. I mean, he repented, and after him having a repentant heart and then praying, the Most High relented. We had a part to do in him changing his action, and that was to pray and to ask for forgiveness.
And we are always to pray and ask for forgiveness as a nation, really. When we come into this understanding, we pray and we ask for forgiveness for the sins of our forefathers. Not that we can pray them out of any condition or sins that they've been in, but that is as a show that we were in disagreement with the sin that they committed, and that we don't subscribe to that. Forgive our forefathers for what they've done. Forgive us for the conditions that we're in that have caused us to be out of relationship or fellowship with the Most High.
Verse 4. This is what the Master Yahuwah showed me. And see, the Master Yahuwah was calling to contend by fire. And it consumed the great deep and did consume the portion.
Who is showing him again?
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah is again showing him in a vision, showing him something that is about to happen. So he is not, again, this is not something that he is desiring for a nation. Sometimes we have, when we want certain things, we may even desire a certain judgment on the individual. But we got to be careful with what we desire against the Most High's children. But he is saying here, this is what the Most High is showing me. He is showing me that there is going to be an extreme drought, heat that's going to be so hot that it's going to cause drought within the nation of people. So the wells are going to dry up, bodies of water are going to dry up because of the extreme heat or fire, in a sense, burning, that the people would that the crops would be burnt up, and that there would be a drought and famine in the land.
And I said, "Oh, Master Yahuwah, please stop. How does Yaakov survive? For he is small.
He's not strong enough."
Yahuwah relented concerning this. This shall not be either, said the Master Yahuwah.
So we're not strong enough to handle this. I see in a vision what you shown. Now, when we see you know, the Most High said that, you know, let us know that, you know, before he does anything, he shows the prophet. Shows the prophet. The prophets were those two also that needed to have a heart for the people. This shouldn't have been something that he should have said, you know what, yeah, go get them. Yeah, you're right. You know, I'm the only one out here living right. Go ahead and punish the nation for the sin that they do. But no, he said, stop, please, because we're not strong enough. If you bring this upon us as a people, how can we survive? So as he is going in supplication for the people, the Most High relented. He said, okay, I will not bring this upon the nation.
Verse 7. This is what he showed me. And see, Yahuwah stood on a wall made with a plumb line in his hand.
He's given him another vision. And now I'm going to stand with a plumb line. I'm going to have a plumb line where on one side there's going to be those that stand that are going to be disobedient, and there on the other side those that will follow.
And Yahuwah said to me, Amos, what do you see? And I said, a plumb line. And Yahuwah said, see, I am setting a plumb line in the midst of my people,
In
Israel.
the midst,
No longer
right
do
in
I
the middle,
pardon them.
right in the midst of the people, because I'm going to show the difference between those that are living right and those that are living wrong. But no longer am I going to pardon. So don't come supplicating for them this time, because I'm not going to pardon them. Their sins have reached a certain place that judgment has to fall upon them. There are times when the Most High says, I will relent. I will show mercy. But then there's times when he says, I'm going to make a point. I'm going to send a plumb line. I'm not going to destroy all, but I'm in the midst of the people, those that are going to do right and those that are not. Those that are going to be on the side of sin, that they're going to suffer. And those that are going to be on the side of righteousness will survive.
It kind of reminds me of where we are in this land of our captivity right now. That this land is ripe for judgment because of the laws that they follow of their power. In other words, they believe in many gods. They give you the freedom to worship whatever God you want. And as a result of that, people have turned away from Yahuwah, and they're worshiping other belief systems. So when you make the law of the land LGBT, and men can marry men and women can marry women, you're opening up the land for judgment.
That's
And
right.
so it reminds me a bit of what we're going through right now as a people.
Can I say what a plumb line is?
A plumb line is when you want to make a wall straight, you can hang a plumb line, and that plumb line will show you the true angle of that straight line coming from top to bottom, so that when you build that wall doesn't start going up like, you know, at an angle, because it might look that way from your eyes perspective. But if I have that plumb line, then that plumb line gives me that precision or that view of what's right, true, right,
And correct. So Scripture says there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof is death and destruction. So it might be a way that seems right to you, but he says, I'm going to drop that plumb line. So even if you might think in your heart that it seems right to you, but I'm going to make it clear.
Make it clear.
That if you fall on the wrong side of this, if you're all crooked, then
Right.
it's not right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the plumb line is an illustration between what's right and what's wrong.
And it gives us that ability to be able to see that, understanding of what is true righteousness and unrighteousness.
So what is truth? His Torah is truth. Psalm 119, 142. His Torah is truth.
So I guess Torah could be that plumb line there. Those, if he sets out that plumb line of Torah, then those that are rejecting that are on one side of that plumb line, and those that are receiving that are on the righteous side of that.
Hallelujah.
So I'm setting a plumb line. It'll make a difference because we can see a difference. Was just talking about a debate that Spiritual Combat had, and we had an individual on there that was saying that the laws were done away with. Well, he's on the unrighteous side of that plumb line. The side that's going to fall into judgment, the side that is clearly not following or staying true to the plumb line that was set before. And so he said, so the Most High is showing Amos, saying, I'm going to set forth the plumb line in the midst of the city. And I'm not going to pardon those that are going to be on the wrong side of that, though, to show where the true nature of the city or where it stands at. I'm not going to pardon them. And so there's no need to fall on your face and pray for them this time, because their sins have already reached a level where I'm not pardoning the nation anymore.
So just recently, I was struggling with that thought of not praying for certain situations and things until I heard the Most High say, no more. And I didn't understand that in my mind, because I think of the scripture said to pray for those that despitefully use you. Pray for you. So that was in my mind to pray. So then how can I not pray? It was like a conflict in my mind. I couldn't understand it. And so now I understand, and that the Most High He's already done the judgment. There's no need for me to ask anymore. There's no need for me to pray anymore. He has already made the determination, and there's nothing more I can do about that. And so the plumb line has been drawn. Now I just have to do what I need to do to keep doing my part to stay on the right side and not go on the wrong side.
But the scripture does tell us that those, there are those, that if they refuse to listen, if they refuse to follow, to do right, that he will turn them over to a reprobate. And we have to make sure that that's not where we fall. That we constantly need to stay on the right side of that plumb, on the righteous side of it, so that we're always striving to do right. We're always having a heart of forgiveness, always having a heart of brokenness, that we allow the Most High to mold and make us in whatever it is that He wants us to be. Understand that going from this land of our captivity to become a nation again, we're not going to be carrying over stuff. So we can't be saying, well, there's certain laws that I like in this nation, and Shema Amore was bringing out one that at one time I actually praised the Most High for, which was the freedom of religion. I thought that was a good thing when I was in Christianity. Freedom of religion. It gave me a right to worship, and I'm thinking I'm worshiping, the Most High. That's what that gave me that freedom to. And then I was looking at these other nations in the scripture when it said that they had a God for every year. And I would think, oh, that nation is an abomination. I didn't really see how they were mirroring each other. Because when a nation that says it has multiple gods, what is it saying? It's saying you have the freedom to worship whichever one you want. There's going to be a bunch of them, but you have the freedom to worship anyone you want. So this nation here, it's got multiple gods all over the place. You have the freedom to worship whichever one you want. That doesn't make it a righteous nation.
Right.
It makes it an ungodly nation, because it's not worshiping the one true living El. And so we have to be, sometimes, so we have to be careful, because really when it says in God we trust, who God is it talking about?
Right.
I remember when, and I said it before, when Trump went over to Saudi Arabia, and the speech, if you listen to that speech that he gave in Saudi Arabia, it sounded like he was an evangelist. He was using the word God so much. But when you look at the crowd, all of Saudi Arabia, of Arabs, they were all in agreement with him. They were shaking their heads and they were praising what he was saying, but he was using a term. He was just using a generic term, God, and it really led you to believe, what God have they agreed that he's talking about? Because for them to be in agreement with them, knowing that their belief systems were different, they had to come to some understanding that when he says God, that this is the individual or the entity in which that they're in agreement with. And I challenge anybody, go back to the first year that he was president. And he went to Saudi Arabia. Listen to that speech. It literally sounds like he was an evangelist. He used the word God so much. Where we at?
We're at 9. Now, verse 9. And the high places of Yitzhak shall be laid waste, and the set apart places of Israel shall be destroyed. And I shall rise with the sword against the house of Jeroboam.
In the high places of Yitzhak, this is before Yitzhak, understand, was before the temple was built. And so the high places, those places of worship, is what he's more getting to when he's mentioning Yitzhak, because Yitzhak didn't have a temple to go to for worship. And so when they were worshiping the Most High, they would build an altar and put the sacrifices, and that would be a place that they would go that would worship. And so as he's saying, I'm going to go tear down these high places of Yitzhak, I'm going to tear down these high places that you have built and worship these other mighty ones that he did not prescribe to. I'm going to tear that down. This is the judgment that's falling upon the northern kingdom, as the Most High is stating in the verse before it, that I'm not going to pardon them for the things that they've done wrong. I'm not pardoning them for the sins that they've committed. And he's narrowing it out exactly what he's doing. I'm going to destroy the high place, and I'm going, and I shall rise with the sword against the house of Yaakov. I'm going to come in and bring a plague that's going to destroy the people that are part of this pagan worship. Continue.
Verse 10. Then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, sovereign of Israel, saying, Amos has conspired against you in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to endure all his words.
Here we have the priest of the northern kingdom, the priest in Bethel, where they were worshiping at, getting frustrated with Amos, getting frustrated to the point where he was like, I'm going straight to the king, to the sovereign. He says, and then he says, the priest of Bethel sent to Jeroboam, sovereign of Israel, to say, Amos has conspired against you in the midst of the people. So he's going and saying that basically Amos is saying these things of his own will. Not that the Most High has said this against you, king, O king, because as a priest of the Most High, that's exactly what he should have done. He should have gone to him and said, the Most High is coming against you in the matters of what you're doing, or what the people are doing, as the Most High is speaking through Amos. But instead, no, he's like, this is Amos doing, and he's conspiring against you. The belief system that we've established, Amos is coming in and destroying that and speaking against that, and in telling the people that you're going to die, because he wants to shut the mouth of the prophet. How often have we seen and heard how the prophets were all slain and killed, and how the prophets struggled to be a prophet or to go in and prophesy against any belief system? understand that you're going to have to deal with the wrath of the people that don't want to hear it.
We have to understand that when we're dealing with a hard-hearted and a stiff-necked people, that the message that the prophet has to bring is often a message that they don't want to hear. It's an unpopular message because it's identifying something that they're doing that's wrong, a bad behavior, abominable actions that they're taking that's wrong. And so when Yahuwah is speaking directly to the prophet, he says, go prophesy this, then they don't want to hear that. They want him to prophesy smooth things, things that they want to hear, things that they like. That's what their ears are itching to hear. But when he brings a message that's unpopular, oh no, now he's conspiring against you,
Right.
O king.
Right.
So what is really being identified here is that you have a wicked priest and a wicked king. I think we're going to see that as we go on a little further.
And so as he's saying it, he's saying that based off of what this prophet or this individual is teaching, this is going to destroy what we got going on here. And this is what we see in the churches. This is why when the truth comes out, telling these Christian church that we've got to stay with the law, they understand and they're basically crying out, basically, hey, this is going to destroy what we're establishing here. Because if these people find out and start living according to the law, then the gig is up. The gig is up. We're not going to be able to line our pockets anymore. We're not going to be able to go out and buy our fancy cars and jets and planes and have these mansions. The gig is up. He says, and the land is not able to endure all of his words. Yeah, you're right. It's not going to be able to endure all of that. Why? Because it's the word of the Most High. And the land is going to, and the people and the land is going to go in judgment because of unrighteousness.
For this is what Amos said, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel certainly be exiled from their own land.
Wait a minute. This priest just got through saying, wait, he says, Amos said. But if we go back up to the beginning and the first verse, it says, this is what the Master Yahuwah showed me. But when the priest then goes to the king, he says, this is what Amos is saying. He's twisting it so that he can accomplish his own fleshly desires. I'm going to change it up to get the king to be on my side. Not that the Most High has said this. Amos said it. Amos is going out spewing these things to come against us.
Verse 12. And Amaziah said to Amos, go, you seer, free to the land of Yehudah, and eat bread and prophesy there.
No, you go someplace else.
Right. Get up out of here.
Because we don't want you here in the northern kingdom. We can't endure your word. We got something else going on up here. And for you to come up here and spewing all of this rhetoric that you got, it's going, it's interfering with our ability to be able to continue on doing the things that we have done. Now, understand that when the Northern Kingdom was established, they immediately went into pagan and idolatry, the paganism and idolatry. Jeroboam, when he came out of Mizraim and took over sovereignty over the Northern Kingdom, he immediately started bringing in calf worship. Where did we see that at? On the mountain. Saw it right there at the base of the mountain. Where did they come from?
Egypt.
They came out of Egypt, and immediately, as soon as they got to the point where they couldn't find, Moses was gone too long. What did they do? They brought in calf worship. The kingdom split. northern and the southern kingdom. The northern kingdom took Jeroboam as sovereign. Jeroboam had spent years in Mitzrayim, came out of Mitzrayim, and immediately started bringing in calf worship. It's like they can't get away from that.
Right. So you're going to come, the Most High delivers you out of a captivity with a strong arm. And instead of you bowing down and saying, we prostrate ourselves before you and we submit ourselves to you, you're going to bring heathen worship out and try to worship the Most High with your heathen worship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work.
But this is what we have to. These are the things that we have to unlearn as we leave this captivity. Understand that we're coming from another form of Egypt,
Bondage.
Bondage. We can't take this what we learned here and bring it into the kingdom. We can't say, well, I enjoyed this aspect of Christianity, and we want to bring that into our nation and into our worship. Now, everything that we did in Christianity is not bad, but understand that Christianity was teaching us that we didn't have to follow the laws. It cherry picked what laws it wanted to follow. The laws that it wanted to follow were those laws that affect them personally. No, I don't. You can't commit adultery. Why? Because I can't have nobody coming in and sleeping with my wife. Can't steal because I don't want somebody taking my big screen TV. You can't lie because then I don't know when you're telling me the truth. You can't kill because I don't want to lose any of my loved ones. But when it comes to obeying the Sabbath, oh, that one's done away with. See, that's not personal. When it comes to loving the Most High with all of our heart and only having Him, as our Most High. Oh well, those laws are done away with. We don't have to follow everything that He said. We don't have to listen to the dietary laws and the laws that cause us to be unclean, because those don't have anything to do with me personally. And so anything that has to do with the Most High, because what did it say about his Shabbat? That was a
sign between the Most High and His people.
Right. And so because they're striving not to listen to the Most High, they're not interested in whatever that sign is. They're just they're only wanting to follow those laws that have a personal, immediate effect in their own lives. Anything else has been done away with.
So they kind of give themselves away, though, don't they? Because out of the other side of their mouth, they say, brothers and sisters, be sure you bring your tithe in to the storehouse. So what is it they're actually after? They're after the mammon. What does the word say? You can't serve mammon and serve the Most High at the same time. So what is their God? Money, 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 money.
That's right.
That is what they seem to be chasing. That's where the $10 million Osteen mansions come from. That's where the Butler jets come from. All of that stuff comes from this worship of money.
But we look at the nation, and I've taught that we can tell what the God of a nation is by the laws that it has. And so the laws that come from the Most High, only His people are going to follow those laws. Only His people are going to seek those out. Only those that desire Him. Now, you talk about money. What is this nation built upon? Capitalism. That's a god for this nation. And so the churches have adopted that god, and so half the sermons are going to be about money. The high priest of these establishments, all the money comes to them, and they say that the amount of money shows their level of what? Righteousness. If you want to be able to have the money I have, then you need to work on the relationship that you have with the Most High, and then He'll bless you like He's blessing me. It's all about money because that's the God that's of this nation. This is why they put it on their dollar bills. In God we trust. What God are they talking about?
And if you want to know about a thing, you have to trace it back to its inception. If you trace Christianity back to its inception, what did they say? We're going to allow people they're going to merge their pagan beliefs with religion.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Constantine did. He allowed people to bring in all kinds of pagan beliefs. You can still worship your pagan deity. We just want you to come in under this umbrella of Christianity. So it was part of the indoctrination of a slave that they had to be brought over also into Christianity. Why was that? Because they didn't want you to continue walking in the way and serving the Most High. They wanted you to do it in the way that was acceptable to them. So what we begin to see from that is that the Most High didn't send Mashiach down to start a new religion called Christianity.
No, he did
That
not.
wasn't the purpose of him coming.
He
He
did
said,
not.
think not that I've come to do away with the law or the prophets.
Or the prophet.
But that's what they want to do.
So they didn't want to hear the law then. They didn't want to hear the instruction from Amos.
Uh-huh.
And the priest there in our lesson here is saying, you know what? Why don't you go to Judah? Go on down there, because there's some Hebrews down there that maybe they want to hear what you got to say. Because we up here, we ain't interested in none of that. We're not interested in hearing any of your word. Continue.
What were we? I'm sorry. Verse 13,
12.
12.
No,
13.
13.
But do not prophesy anymore at Bethel, for it is the sovereign set apart place, and it is the house of the reign.
So this is where the king, this is what we've established for the king, and what he accepts as a form of worship. So don't come here, because we've already established what we want to believe. We've already got a system going. Stay out of our churches. This is what they're telling us still today. Stay out of our church. Get off of our corner. You know, we're not interested in what you have to say and what you're trying to teach.
Verse 14. And Amos answered and said to Amaziah, I am not a prophet, nor am I a son of a prophet, for I am a herdsman a herdsman and a grower of sycamore figs.
I'm not a prophet. I understand what your issues are. I'm not a prophet. I'm just doing what the Most High called me to do. That's all I am. I'm a herdsman. I'm not somebody of a big name, somebody with a lot of money. The sycamore tree was they grew a form of fig that the poor people ate. I'm not even out here trying to get rich.
Right.
I'm just a humble herdsman doing what the Most High has called me to do. You know, and I'm getting all of this beef from you because you don't want to hear what the Most High said. You know, you're treating me or looking at me like I didn't came from some long line of prophets or something. And maybe that's another reason why he may have been disrespecting it. Yeah, maybe it is because you were a herdsman that the priest was like, didn't even call him one. He's like, you see her.
Look what we have here, though. We have another example of Yah taking an ordinary person and doing extraordinary things with him. Why? Because he had a heart to be obedient to the Most High. So he can take a little and cause it to be much if the attitude of your heart is in the right place. So Amos, when the Most High told him to go prophesy, he didn't say, oh, maybe Joe down the street might be a better person to send than me, because I'm just a herdsman. No, he said, I go.
Right. That's right.
I like the humility that he shows in that verse. I am not a prophet. I'm none of that stuff. I'm not even the son of a prophet. I'm just a simple herdsman. And he humbled himself in such that there was no, oh, I am the prophet. I am the,
Right.
and like today, there's going to be a comforting prophet. This is coming.
I am the man of God.
Yeah, they make that such a big deal, and like they are the ones that are bringing this upon, but has nothing to do with them or us. It's all about the Most High.
Yeah.
And he chooses who he wants to choose, and he may only choose you the one time, and you may never do it again.
That's it. It may be that one time,
But
that's it.
The reason
right.
that the attitude of our heart is so important. If he comes to you just that one time, your answer better be the right answer.
Hallelujah.
Because if your answer is wrong, he may not give you another chance.
That's right. That's right.
Hallelujah.
That might have been that one moment that the Most High was looking to use you,
Hallelujah.
to bring esteem to him, in delivering a message to his people.
I think it's so important that we see ourselves through Yah's eyes.
Yeah.
Because so oftentimes we devalue ourselves and then we think we're not worthy to be used. But he uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things if we are in the right place, like you're saying. So we just got to be in the right place and then trust in him that he is going to bring whatever he chooses to do with you to fruition. We just got to be in that right place. But humility is key. I think humility is key.
What's the next verse say?
Verse 15. But Yahuwah took me from behind the flock, and Yahuwah said to me, go prophesy to my people Israel.
He took me out from behind the flock. What other herdsmen did he pick?
David.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
But he don't need to get some rich guy, somebody with a degree. He took me from behind the flock. I was out there dusty and dirty, and he chose me to do this. And then he says, go prophesy. And he says, to my people, Israel. Now this priest is saying, no, you go to Yehuda. He's like, that ain't where I was called to go to. This is where the Most High. I can't go to Judah because that ain't where the Most High told me to go. I have to speak here. And this is where he's called me. We've got to be where he called us to be. That's why I always say, wherever the Most High whatever he's called you to do, whatever it is that he's leading you to do, when the dust settles of all of what is going on, you need to be in the square that he placed you in. Because he ain't gonna go down to Judah and be like, Amos, what you doing down here? What, and Amos be like, well, the priest told me to come. No, where did I call you to go? What did I tell you to do?
And the enemy comes to take us off our square.
Yes,
so
he
often,
does.
And to not be about the Most High business. But he tells us to keep our eye like flint, keep our eye on him. Not to be turned
where
to the right.
in Scripture have we seen an example of a prophet who went somewhere else other than what the Most High told him to go?
That's right.
Right.
You know what happened to him, right?
And what happened to everybody around
How did
him?
that go for you?
Because he wasn't in the right place. What happened to everybody
Showing up
around
someplace he didn't belong.
Right. Right.
So, he's letting them know, look, I'm just a humble herdsman. I'm not a prophet. Didn't even come from a line of prophets. This is where the Most High called me to be at, right here. I know, look, I know this is some hard to, some hard word to listen to. It's difficult. But I can't, but what else am I to do? Where am I going, where else am I going to go? I mean, I've heard, he's probably heard the stories. Saw the examples of those that were disobedient and didn't want to be disobedient. I understand that if the Most High is calling me, it doesn't make a difference what my profession is. It doesn't make a difference what my clothes look like. It don't make a difference of what my hair looks like. I got to show up where he tells me to show up at, say the things that he tells me to say, regardless of it, even if it means my life. I have to do it.
So we see here that the prophet is not half-stepping. When the Most High gives you a task to do, you don't go about it half-heartedly. Because look what happens in verse 16 and verse 17.
And now hear the word of Yahuwah. You are saying, do not prophesy against Israel, and do not drop words against the house of Israel.
So you're telling me I can't drop a word here?
Don't drop a word.
That's probably again one of these phrases that we know is our people.
You know they're
you telling me I can't drop a word here? You know,
drop not your word against the house of Yasak.
He says, and now he says, but listen, now you listen, because you had an opportunity to speak. You had an opportunity to show where your allegiance was at. You wanted to continue this pagan calf worship. You wanted it so much that you went with a false narrative to the king to try to shut my mouth. You wanted me, then you come back to me telling me, look, why don't you go down to Judah, because we don't want to hear what you got to say here. But Amos said, now you listen to what the Most High has just dropped in my spirit. Because you didn't want me to drop a word in Yisrael. But now I'm getting ready to drop a word in your hearing.
Hallelujah.
That's going to deal with you directly.
Hallelujah.
And not only that, but he's going to finish off with what he originally came to say. But you listen to this. Listen what the Most High has for you.
17. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah, your wife shall become a whore in the city, and your sons and daughters fall by the sword, and your land be divided by the measuring line.
By what?
The measuring line, and you die in the defiled land, and Israel shall certainly be exiled from its land.
So what I got to say, you're going to have to listen and deal with what the Most High just got to saying about you. Now, even though all of this is happening, this still doesn't pardon Israel, because surely Israel is going to go into exile. But check this, because you tried to stop the mouth of the prophet, your wife will go be a whore in the city. I find that amazing. I mean, the depths of what the Most High will release an individual into doing. Your wife will be a whore in the city. She will be used and abused by the incoming armies. Your children will be slain by the sword. You will be carried into exile and die in a pagan environment, because this is what you gave in your life over. This is a judgment because you tried to stop the mouth of the man that the Most High was speaking through.
Understand that when a prophet brings a message, the prophet is just the one that the Most High is using to speak it. But when you're arguing against the message, you're arguing against the Most High, not the prophet. You can tell the prophet to go down to Yehuda, but what you're really saying is, I am rebelling against the Most High.
That's right.
So
that's right.
You can't come against his prophet. This is why the answer is so harsh. Yes. Because you have a spirit of rebellion, and you're trying to put it on the prophet, but it's the Most High told the prophet to say it.
That's right.
So you're really coming against the Most High. So here's your answer. Here's your answer right here. This is what's going to happen to you. So notice that when a man does wrong, it not only affects the man, it's also affecting his wife, it's also affecting his children.
Yes.
So you can see if the Most High holds the man responsible for the family, and the man gives a directive, and the directive is not followed, all kinds of havoc can result from the man not dropping the word that the man is supposed to drop when the Most High gives it to him. And if the family does not listen and wants to rebel, then there's a price to pay. And it's not just the man that gets punished, it's the wife and the family.
Can't be sticking together just for families. But also understand this precept. Anytime we step in between the Most High and what he's told any of his children to do, any of his children to do, and I don't care what that is. And the Most High said, I want you to go down and buy a Lexus. And you stop that brother from going down and buying a Lexus that the Most High told him to go buy. Understand, you got to deal with the Most High. I don't care what it is. He just said, go get land. Well, I'm going to get in the way of you getting land. If I say I want you to go buy a house and you get, to serve the Most High and you stop that individual from doing that, you're going to deal with the Most High. We have to step out of the way of anybody that's on a mission or is striving to accomplish a vision for the Most High. Here, yes, it's a prophet. He says, I'm not even a prophet. I'm just a herdsman. But yes, you're prophesying because the Most High is giving you a vision, showing you something to tell to the people. But now but somebody is standing in the way of this prophet saying what he's supposed to say, trying to divert him, trying to even get him killed by the king by going to the king and saying that this individual is preaching against you or teaching against you. And because of that, he's going to lose all of his children. He himself is going to die in paganism, in filth, and his wife is going to be a common whore in the middle of the city.
So if the Most High gives someone a mission and says, you go do this, and then you come against that person who's trying to do what the Most High told him to do, you're placing yourself in jeopardy because the Most High is going to accomplish what he sent this person to accomplish. If you're somebody in the way, and even if you don't agree with his methods, or you don't agree with the way he's going about it, you still have to recognize that this is a mission from the Most High. It's not something I want to place myself in the way of, come against as opposition, try to trick, or some other method of subverting what the person is trying to do, because it's not the person. We're not dealing with flesh and blood. The Most High gave the person a mission. You can't stand in the way of that mission. And anytime you try to, you open yourself up for judgment.
I like the comment that Ak put in his. Says, I'm not a prophet or a herdsman. It says, but a humble, dirty-skinned vegetable farmer, a Berean who has been broken by Yah.
Hallelujah.
That is the ruach that we should all have. I'm nobody special. I'm just here doing what the Most High called me. I'm a Berean. I'm studying his word to show myself approved to the best of my ability. I don't have a lot. We all are coming out of this captivity. We don't have a lot. Most of us are coming from broken homes and have been living in a society full of lies. But yet the Most High is saying, I'm going to pull a remnant out of his people. And that's all we can hope to be found worthy enough for him to open up our understanding to be able to receive what is here. Because this is not an intellectual exercise. Because if it was, then anybody with an education ought to be able to read it and then say, you know what, I believe, and move on. But these educated people can't even grasp it. Sometimes it just takes that humble vegetable farmer, that dirty-skinned vegetable farmer that nobody wants to hear, listen to, or even respect. to be, to teach and to speak out, on behalf of the Most High, with the hopes that somebody would listen. That's all we're doing. That's all we do from day to day. So what is your call? Go. Prophesy. Go build. Go sow. Go plant. Go sing. Whatever comes after the word go, that's what you do. And you do with all of your heart. And woe to anybody that will stand in the way of you being able to accomplish that. Because when the Most High sends his children out to accomplish a task, understand, like Maura was saying, that when you stand in the way, you're not standing in opposition of the man. You're standing in opposition of the Most High. Because he is the one that sent this young man. He is the one that sent this old man. He is the one that sent this daughter out to accomplish something. Get out of the way. You don't want to be involved with what they're doing, just get out the way. But do not go in and do what this priest did and try to get him to stop. The outcome wasn't pretty. He lost all of his children. He would eventually lose his life. He had to watch his wife become a whore in the city.
So I have a question. If we were to bring that into today, would it or could it necessarily be not the act of whoredom in sense being with other men, but in the act of serving other guys?
It can be a multiple of things.
Not being true to Yahuwah.
Yeah, because sometimes, there are things that, because of this nation and the things that we're taught, that get in us. But the Most High is saying, you know what? I got a different call for this individual. I got a different walk I want for this individual. And while that individual is serving the Most High is putting that at bay. I'm not going to let them go after what this flesh would go after if I let them go. This was in that woman already. And basically what he was doing is saying, you know what? I'm going to make her reprobate. I'm going to take from her that hedge of protection that kept her from going after her fleshly desire. And she became what she already wanted. It's the same thing with Pharaoh. And so what is it that's been taught to us that the Most High is protecting us from, that keeping us from? We live in a society of homosexuality. Can it be that if we, for a moment, just say, you know what, I don't want this walk. I don't want to believe. I don't want to follow his law, statutes. After he showed it to us, after he explained it, and this is why it's dangerous, because the scriptures let us know that once we've seen and tasted that which is right, that if we reject it, what is left for us but to be reprobate and to go after the desires of the flesh? This flesh right now, as long as I'm in the Most High, this flesh is being controlled by the Ruach. God. But if the flesh, if the spirit man rejects what gives it its strength to be able to control it, then it's going to go after its own desires. And it doesn't, what is that? We don't know. We don't pick and choose what sins we're going to get. We find ourselves submitting to that because of the desires of this flesh. This is just a vehicle now. And what this nation is, because of the mighty ones in which it serves, there is a prevailing spirit over this nation. And if the Most High doesn't keep us, we're going to give into it. And so we can't afford to let the Most High go. We can't afford to say, you know what, I'm going to just relax my my desire to serve him, because what's left if I just say, it's too much chaos right now. I just want to get away from all of this and just do what I want to do. The Most High said, okay, fine, I'll let you go do what your flesh wants to do. You'll find yourself doing things you ain't never, you never wish you would do. And there is some horrific stuff that this flesh will do. Horrific. All right, you got the last word.
So as we get ready to move on with our Shabbat day, I'm going to leave you with a thought. What has the Most High placed in your hand? What has he told you to do that you have not followed up on? What gift has he given you that's laying dormant that you're not following up on? You might just be an ordinary person, but he has extraordinary things for you to do if you're obedient. So when he's given you this, when he says that he knew you before he formed you in your mother's womb, and that he's conformed you to be like his son. So as we know Hamashiach walked out the Torah, and he's made you like his son. So that means that you have something to do for the Most High. You have a mission. We all have a mission from the Most High. Everybody may not have realized what their vision is yet, but we all have missions from the Most High. Every day is an opportunity for a mission. So when the Most High calls you, be sure that your answer is, here am I.
That's right. Here am I. That's right.
What is it that you want me to do? Hallelujah.
We do want to give opportunity for those that, there's those that might have a comment as well, and I'm gonna start trying to get this done before I give you the last word. But if there's any questions, comments, this is the time to get them out.
Hallelujah. All right, Israel. See what he wrote? Hallelujah.
Stay tuned for interesting things coming forth in next week's lesson.
It's there's a reason why Hamashiach said, don't even think I'm trying to get rid of the law order prophets. I did not understand the value of what the prophets actually taught. There is so many nuggets in here that actually are precepts that they're not being said right out in the open, but they're just laying there for you to be able to pick up and to build. When we was in Ezekiel and we began to see how the nations round about were being destroyed just for the very thoughts that they had concerning the promises that they didn't fulfill. They didn't have to go in destroy Israel. They didn't have to go in and do anything. Did you make a promise to my children and not fulfill it? Because of that, you were going into judgment. Did you sit and laugh when you saw that the children of Israel were getting ready to go into captivity and thought that you were going to take advantage or go in and get some land or go in and benefit from their punishment? The Most High judged that nation. we need to learn something that's being said there that's not actually being said out in the open. We have to be careful about how we think of one another. When I look at my ox and my coats, what are my thoughts concerning them? Because if the nations around about are being judged by the very thoughts they have and intents of their hearts, even before they do it, doesn't judgment start at home first? You see a brother that is fallen or that is fallen into sin, have you thrown him away before the Most High has done that? The Most High may have him go in judgment only to show mercy to him. But if you've already gone in and felt like I'm going to take advantage of the situation, this moray that maybe stumbled, I'm going to go in and show everybody that I'm a better leader than he is and that I should have been the moray. And I'm going to try to step in while the Most High is dealing with him because of his sin, not knowing that the Most High is going to show mercy to him. And when he shows mercy to him and he wants to reestablish him, where do you think you're going to stand? Because you're sitting in a spot that the Most High wants to place his man in.
Sitting in the seat of the scorners.
Got to be careful. It's one thing that an individual goes into judgment and they're destroyed. And we can then look and say, they were destroyed because of this sin. And that, this is what we got to be careful over, that not to get ourselves caught up in that. But always guard our hearts. Somebody is going through because of sin. Let's not jump on and be like, laughing and yeah, you getting it. Because nations were destroyed because of those very thoughts. So there's so much that the prophets can teach us if we're really paying attention to the story that is being told. When it points out the sins of a nation, let's try to find those very sins that are round about us so that we don't get caught up in it. When we see the prophet going in supplication for the nation, was it Ezekiel that the angel was going through and with the inkhorn and marking the heads of those that were mourning in the city for the sin that the city was doing? What is it teaching us? We need to care about what's going on around us. We see sin going on. Don't just be looking and thinking, okay, yeah, you're gonna get yours, and I'm gonna sit back and eat popcorn and enjoy your demise. I need to be mourning for my people as I see them in sin. Pay attention to what the prophets are saying. Pay attention to the story. Because if we are not mourning for our people, we're not sorrowful for the conditions of those that have fallen, that have gone astray, then we're not in our right place.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. I like this.
It says, brother says that murderer Moshe was given mercy from Yah to deliver Yah's people. That's right. The murderer. How many of us would give a murderer a chance?
Oh.
I mean, he comes in and he said the Most High has called him to teach, to lead. And then we go back and we look at his record.
Already judged.
We
Dude.
saw what thou didst to that Egyptian.
Right.
You
Right.
just got them spending 20 years in
Right.
the pen for murder. Don't even come around here no
Right.
more. I mean, we will judge him quick.
Right.
Have to be careful what we think about the Most High's children. Really, really, really be careful. Now, I'm not saying that we got to be acceptance of everything that goes on around us, but we got to check our hearts. Check our hearts. We love to praise David. David took another man's wife and then had her killed.
That was a stoning offense.
I mean, and how many people would we throw away? Oh, this brother that slept with this sister. Now, we don't know what the Most High did to punish him, but if he punished him and this brother had a repentant heart, we don't know that the Most High is going to use him to be the next
That's
great
right.
leader in our
That's
nation. Because he's done that. He showed it that he's done.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We just have to get on board with what the Most High is doing. But it's hard to do if our heart ain't right. It's hard to do if our heart already judging people. His brother got a GED, so I can't follow him. You know, I'm gonna follow the brother over there that's got a master's degree.
Yeah.
You know, he talks all smooth, great orator. This brother over here stumbling, stuttering. I don't even like the way his voice sounds. We're judging according to the flesh.
Yeah.
All of these things we have to be careful of because, again, the scripture gives us examples so that we don't make those mistakes. Moshe tried to get, I mean, he did everything possible to get out of his call.
Almost cost him his life.
You're right, it almost cost him his life. But he was like, I can't talk good. I mean, who wants to hear me talk? Who wants to listen to me? You know? But the Most High said, I'm calling you. I don't care whether the people want to listen to you. First of all, it ain't you that they need to be listening to in the first place. I'm going to be speaking to you through you. And so this is what we have. This is the spirit in which we have to go forth. And that's why the scriptures tell us to test the spirit.
Hallelujah.
Well, shall we pray?
Let's pray.
Hallelujah.
Todah Rabbah, Abba Yahuwah, for the wisdom that has come forth today
Hallelujah.
out of your word, from the Torah, from the writings of the prophets, from the Tehillim, and the Brit Hadashah. Todah Rabbah, for the healthy fear of you that we are able to exercise, which is the beginning of wisdom. Todah Rabbah, for all that you have done, all that you are doing, and all that you will do in our lives, in the life of your calling, in the lives of all Israel, wherever they are scattered. We ask that you would be a hedge about the children today, that you would barak them and that you would keep them. We thank you for the food which you have provided, your bounty, your provision for us is above, exceedingly and abundantly above that which we could ask or think. So we ask that you would barak it to the nourishment of our bodies today. We pray that you would sanctify it and purify it in Hashem Yahushua. Hallelujah.
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 Yahuwah bless you and guard you.
Yahuwah bless you and guard you.
Yahuwah make his face shine upon you.
Yahuwah make his face shine upon you.
Show favor to you.
Show favor to you.
Yahuwah lift up his face upon
Yahuwah lift up his face upon you.
you. Give you
Give you
Allah.
shalom.
Hallelujah. That just tickles me.
Oh, yeah.